Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Henny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Modesto Tacos, Tequila, Whiskey, right here at the corner of Burbank and Nicholson. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Hannegriff along with Max Gautreaux. And we'll have our Wednesday guest with us here today. Scott Rabelais from The Advocate, Randy McKay, professional sports handicapper. He had you on North Dakota State the other night. If you were watching the the FCS championship, the big dog was on the right side. He's from that area of the country, so he knows a little bit.
He knows the Dakotas,
and I'm sure he's going to have some opinions on the college and pro playoff games. We got a great stretch of 5 days coming up. Scott Rabelais from The Advocate, Wes Reynolds from VSiN also with us today, and I'm sure Wes will have some thoughts. What do you think Wes thinks about the golf? You get to watch indoor golf last night?
I did. I watched some of it. You know, it was kind of opposite LSU.
I wish I had. I watched a basketball game. I wish I'd watched the indoor golf.
It's we'll see. Tiger plays next Tuesday. I'll reserve some judgment for that. It was well produced, well put together, but I just don't know if it's for me, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I was told by someone this morning that I'm not sure I like it, but I don't hate it the way I hate live golf. That's okay.
That's fair.
They're not trying to take over the sport. This is just something extra. They give you something extra and you don't like it, you don't have to take it. Okay?
Yeah, it's quick. It was quick. Yeah, that was good. It was in basically 2 hours. It got a little old after a while. I was entertained the first 35 minutes of the show, and then they had a couple commercial breaks, and I kind of lost interest.
I could have taken a 35-minute break from the LSU basketball game. That would have been good to clear my head because I watched the whole thing. And listen, not only did I watch the whole thing, I went over and made sure that I watched the beginning because the Kentucky-Arkansas game ran forever. You were Kentucky-Georgia, excuse me. The game ran well into the third block of the first half of LSU-Missouri. So I switched over, I watched it, and boy, I paid a price. This is real simple. LSU doesn't have enough players to compete in the Southeastern Conference. They just don't. Doesn't mean they're going 0-18 the way Missouri did last year, although I wouldn't rule that out. But I don't think they will. There's enough talent there to win, a handful of games, whatever. But they're not likely to be a favorite in any game this year that's remaining, save when South Carolina comes to the Assembly Center. That's about it. These first two games were against teams that had a lot of turnover, that did not have a lot of success last year. How understated can I put it, Max? They were 0-18 in the league last year, Missouri. Okay? 0-18, a big goose egg for 18. 19 if you count the SEC tournament. They didn't win that game either. They hadn't won a game in the league since March of 23. It's 22 months ago, Max. Yet they folded in 10 new players with the 5 guys that they had coming back, and guess what? Blew LSU right out of the building. Okay. I could do some of the basketball stuff with this, I suppose. They were beating on the boards again. They were turning the ball over too much again. They found themselves in an early hole again. And here my big takeaway, I just sum it all up into one sentence, because I don't want to do this 18 times. I'm going to do this the first few times, and this is likely just to get worse because the teams that they're going to play in the league are better, the ones that are coming up. Nothing is easy for this team. There are so few easy baskets, points off of turnovers or guys that, take advantage of a mismatch. Most of the points, are coming on really hard buckets to make. Cam Carter is their best player, He was 5 of 15 last night. Every time he got the ball, there were some open looks, nobody's going to make them all. But he had to work They really work hard to make 5 shots last night. Jai Bailey got into a rhythm a little bit, but that was it. Curtis Givens came off the bench because they were in foul trouble. We'll get to that in a second. And he made 5 shots. And it was all he could do to get, some of those shots off. So these are all highly contested shots. Collins got loose for a couple of dunks, but for the most part, they made 23 shots last night. I would say 18 of them were contested. These highly contested shots. That's a hard way to play, man. When there's no easy buckets, when there's no guy that you can say, man, that guy can isolate, he can make a bucket, or we can run an offense, we can get this guy a shot, and he'll make a fair share of them. Everything is work, and when you do that, it's just really, really difficult to score points. The scouting report on Missouri was accurate. They turn you over a lot. They get to the free throw line. They play a little bit of bully ball. They're going to get to the free throw line. They led the nation, or they were second in the nation, in free throw makes coming into this game. They made 21 free throws. LSU got into early foul trouble. They had 2 players with 3 fouls in the first half. And at the 9-minute mark of the first half, LSU was down 10 points. They never got any closer. They never put together a run that would put any pressure on Missouri. Forget about win the game. I watched the entire second half going, are they ever going to get this to single digits? And they never did. They never put together any type of pressure. 16 points doesn't sound like you got run out of the building. It just sounded like you were beaten thoroughly. You got run out of the building. You had no chance last night. I mean, seriously, Max, I don't know how much you watched at the beginning, or if you were, like me, and I got to go watch the beginning of this game. Let me just see what kind of start they get off to. Okay, not good. They were never in the game to any extent. I mean, from the point where at the second TV timeout, the lead went from 4 to 9. And then it went from 9 to 10, and then the two teams went about 3 minutes without scoring at all, either one of them. And then near the end of the first half, Missouri goes on a run, and it goes to 34-17. And LSU just never – they don't have enough good players to compete on a night-in, night-out basis in a Southeastern Conference. They just don't. And again, I'm not saying they're going 0-18. I don't like to, make these far-reaching proclamations about an entire season after just a couple of games. But I can tell you what Vegas thinks, if that means anything to you. The 16 remaining conference games, they'll be favored in one. When South Carolina, and that's
as of now.
Yeah,
if they
were all today. One of the other closer games, as far as point spread value, will be Arkansas next week, because Arkansas is off to a little bit of an uneven start. They play again tonight. They were thumped in the opener, but they were thumped by a really good team. They are roughly in the same place in the net as Vandy, and Vandy was a small favorite here, 2.5-point favorite here. They won the game by 8. That's probably Arkansas will be in that range, might be a point or two in either direction. Vanderbilt, you asked me a question. You said, is LSU still the only team that has lost a home game? No. Vanderbilt, who beat LSU here, lost a home game last night. They lost by 12 to Mississippi State. Texas also lost at home, but they lost to Auburn, who's one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country. So what can I tell you? It's not good. I would tell you, these guys will get a little bit more experience and they'll be better in the second half. And McMahon coached them to a better record in the Southeastern Conference last year at the end than I ever figured after the first 2 games. So maybe maybe the basketball product will improve. But I can't look at that team and say, okay, there's a lot of talent there just waiting to bust out. I just don't see it. And it's particularly irritating that they lost to a Vanderbilt team. How many players did they bring back, Max? Vanderbilt?
10?
No.
Or, 1.
From 1.
10 in the portal.
1,
yeah.
Right. How many players did Missouri bring back? 5. Okay. From an 0-18 team, they brought 5 guys back. They turned this whole thing over. I don't know what Missouri's record's going to be in the league. Right now, they're probably the 13th best team, the 12th best team, somewhere in that area. but they turned the whole thing over, and you're in year 3. That guy's in year 3 too. His first year was really good. The second year was terrible. I mean, bottom fell out of it. Turn the roster over, they look a little bit better. They were good enough to beat Kansas. You went 0-18 in the league last year, 0-19 with the tournament. You were good enough to beat what was then the number 1 team in the country, Kansas, in December. And now you break your SEC losing streak, and LSU they weren't competitive. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be nice. They were not competitive last night. I'm not saying they didn't play hard. They don't have enough roster to compete in this league. And if they rally and they go 9-9 or 8-10 or something like that, I'll say, man, I was so wrong. It was just a slow start. But I don't see it, man. They're going to Ole Miss on Saturday. I can't possibly see them winning that game. After the game against Arkansas, which, okay, they can play there. I think, you're at least in that game there. They go to A&M and Alabama. They can't win at those places.
Top 10 team.
Then Auburn comes here. You can't win there. I mean, at very best, you're looking at 1-7, 1-6 to open the season, and that's if you can beat Arkansas. If you go miracle and win on the road, I'll apologize, but I got to call it like I see it. I'm not gonna Pollyanna this thing and say, well, they just need a little time, or they just need to gel, or they just need to do this. I'm sorry. They're overmatched. They're overmatched in year 3. I gave Matt McMahon a little bit more slack than Jimmy did. He, from the very beginning, is like, no, man, you didn't. And looks like he was way closer to right than I was. I wanted to give him a little bit of time. It's year 3, and you're not terribly competitive.
You know who else is in year 3? You know who else is in year 3?
The Missouri coach.
Todd Golden, Florida.
Yeah.
They're a top 10 team right now.
I mean,
part of the same coaching search.
And I'm not going to go through the whole, do you have enough administrative report? Have you raised enough support?
Florida
Have you
has
raised enough money? And the answer to all of that is no. But it's going to be a long season. And if they, like I said, if they turn around, I'll be the first one to apologize. I'll be happy to do it. But I'll be honest with you. I watched just a little bit of the pre-conference, because there's only so much LSU Stetson when Stetson's one of the worst 10 teams in the country, or LSU Mississippi Valley when Valley's the worst team in the country, that I can stand to watch. So I watched them against Kansas State. I watched them against Pitt. I watched them against SMU. I watched them against Florida State. And there were some positive things in there. But this league is a whole different kettle of fish than what they faced in the non-conference. 10 years ago, this team could have won, 6, 7, 8 games in the conference. This is not that conference anymore. This is the elite conference. The basketball conference is better than the football conference this year. If you want, to put it in. Let me get. Was it not Living Color? It was. What did they do? Let me speak right down to earth in a language that everybody here could easily understand. SEC basketball this year is better than SEC football. From top to bottom, strength in the middle, strength at the top, they're better in basketball this year than they are in football. That ought to tell you all you need to know. What was it?
I'm sorry. That's
the cult of personality, guys. Okay. I can't think of it. Anyway, they used to do that in a language that everybody can easily understand. SEC basketball is better than SEC football. That pretty much.
No doubt. I mean,
Living Color. Living Color.
Living Color.
That was
Living
Color. It's an 80s band, Max. I don't expect you to.
No, way above my head.
All right. If Jimmy knows 80s bands.
I got LaMelo Ball stuck in my head right now.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard that, huh?
LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo Ball came out with a new song. It's popular.
No.
I saw you kind of swerve around.
It escaped my attention.
Whoa.
The rest of my NBA watching last night was Zion Williamson coming back and actually looking pretty decent for a guy who hadn't played in 2 months. And, of course, the Pelicans losing again. And Trae Young hitting a half-court shot to beat Utah. That was
D'Angelo Ball. Sorry, not LaMelo. LaMelo's in the league. The kid that's not in the league.
Right, whatever. Oh, we're at Modesto, corner of Burbank and Nicholson. Great happy hour here from Tuesday to Friday, 2 until 6 p.m. Half off draft beer, wine, and house margaritas. We've eaten here many times. We like the taco plates. You can get 2 or 3 tacos. Get them with the Baja fish, the Cabo shrimp, the fried avocados, all kinds of different kinds of chicken. Smoked brisket is another one of our favorites here, and a terrific margarita. The last time we were here, we had a pineapple margarita with a little. I'm going to tell you one of the biggest kicks. Just a really, really spicy kick to it. If you don't think of pineapple as spicy, but if it's a little spicy pineapple margarita, like, hey, let me try that. I've never had one of those. Pow! Wow, man! Now I'm awake. That was pretty good. Just part of the menu here at Modesto. LSU baseball season about a month away. This is such an easy place to come in pregame before LSU baseball, and then just an easy little jaunt across the street here to Alec Box here at Modesto. We'll take a break live at lunch from Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
People of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years, including their newest branch at Burbank and Bluebonnet. Our great team at United Community Bank, Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Prentice Wilkes, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, and David Henry. You know, running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you're a partner. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
With Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Modesto, we're also brought to you in part by Total Maintenance, AC and heating, generators, electricity, plumbing. Total Maintenance, your one-stop sales and service shop for all of these things. One of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. Slogan's always been service today, every day. You call today, you get service today, so you don't have to go to sleep uncomfortable. We got cold weather here right now. It's going to linger with us for a little bit. Total Maintenance with a full staff in both New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Authorized dealer for Carrier, American Standard, Daykin, and Rheem AC units, Generac, and Cummings generators for all your electrical and plumbing needs. In Baton Rouge, it's 480-1000. In New Orleans, 841-3300. Service today, every day at Total Maintenance. You here?
What's up, Charlie?
You here?
Man, how many games are we going to be competitive in this?
Not a lot based on the schedule. The hell with basketball for a second, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Just got off the phone with another close friend. It's just day by day, man. Just being there for the family and for Ethan. So I'm sitting in for a little bit. Come and go. A little bit, but next week we're going to school. So
yeah, and we knew that you're going to be out for a while, and that's okay. We picked up the slack, but the well wishes and everybody that is.
I've been therapeutic to listen to you guys. I enjoy that. Max seems a lot more calm around you. I don't know if I make him nervous.
I can't imagine why.
I just like going against whatever you say, Jimmy. That's
off the air. You're paying my ass off the air, but on the air, I mean, you really blend in. So I'm even blend in with the crappy headset today. So I didn't even. Did I mention that? But anyway, but no, man, it's just any little thing of normalcy and just listening. So I was, almost like spit up my my morning cappuccino when Charlie said we were getting Kevin O'Connell, and then he corrected himself and swerved himself back within the lines. And he said, "This is where Jimmy, whips me back into shape." So
I told you,
Kevin O'Connell. I said, "Yeah, we'll take him, Charlie."
I gave him a lot of rope there.
Yeah, fantasy.
The Minnesota's really playing games with him.
Yes, that was really the story.
Did you see Darnold on Sunday night? I was shocked. He was so bad. He was bad. He was pressured.
No, the Lions spent the night in the backfield.
They did, but he was bad.
No, he had a rough game.
He was bad.
No question.
Against
about them.
a defense that's that banged up. I was shocked they didn't get in the end zone one time.
Charlie, I wanted to ask, or Jimmy, Jimmy, I wanted to ask you, Coach of the Year. Is it still O'Connell's?
To me,
easily?
it is.
Dan Campbell's like 4-1. I mean,
how
he's
many
beat
games
him
did they
twice.
win?
12, 13?
14?
They were 14-3. The Lions were 15-2.
You went 14 games.
Over expectation. I mean, what was it, 6.5?
Quinn gets some credit. Sean Payton gets some credit, but this is – you got to look at their division. You got to look at Payton's – they only beat one team with a winning record, I think. I mean, they took care of their business. Yeah. I mean, he's done a great job, but it's still both he and Bo Nix got to take the next step next year. But how do you – I mean, Darnold kind of – and, we don't want to go week to week, but, man, he kind of reminded you, like, are we really ready to dive into this guy long term? He was awful against a – Brock Purdy, we just saw 6 days earlier, go up and down the field like he was Dan Fouts and Air Coryell. I mean, up and down the field, and that's the same group. Now, they were maybe a little bit more juiced at home. They were bringing pressure. I want to be fair, but not to get in the end zone against a defense with that many guys out.
Yeah.
Anzalone was back. That was big. Any little piece they can get back is a big deal. But, damn, man. I mean, come on.
I think that, with Darnold, watched him the other night, I had the flashbacks to a game that happened actually in that stadium, which was, not that stadium, in Minnesota Stadium, with the Giants 2 years ago. And Daniel Jones had a really good finish to that season. He had a really good playoff game, and the Giants signed him to a long-term deal, which they almost immediately regretted. And when I look at Darnold, I see very much the reclamation project that was Baker Mayfield in Tampa, Geno Smith in Seattle, and both of those guys after that reclamation year have been good. They haven't been, consistent. Mayfield's thrown a lot of touchdown passes. He's also thrown a lot of interceptions. And Geno, from week to week, you get the good Geno to bad Geno. He's been, good, not over the moon great. I think that's probably a realistic expectation for Darnold. He's got great weapons to work with. That's a great receiving core with Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson.
Yeah.
And Aaron Jones was really good this year. He's got a great cast.
Good, solid running game to kind of offset, some of the pressure where he doesn't have to, carry him offensively.
And they've led for so much of the year that they haven't been put in the position of having to come from behind very often.
He had a bad game.
Yeah, he did.
But he had a great season.
I think he's way better than Daniel Jones. I don't know that he's – can he put up numbers like Baker Mayfield has? Probably. But if you're expecting him to be Joe Burrow or, you're expecting him to be
such a
Patrick
tougher
Mahomes.
division.
Yeah.
So they're going to get a tougher schedule.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, Baker is – we'll see again on Sunday night. It's a big deal for him. I mean, because he's such high risk and high reward. He's going to – and that's part of what makes him – and that's him. I don't see Darnold as that guy. I saw Darnold kind of – saw guys covering, and he was scared to kind of throw into coverage. He's way more cautious. I think his roller coaster ride is not as steep as Geno Smith. Geno is all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks –
Who also has very good offensive weapons to work with, by the way.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But I think Darnold's a little bit more straight-line guy that just had a bad night. But I don't know what he could do without Kevin O'Connell.
I suspect that they are going to get this done. They're not going to let O'Connell
No,
walk.
but I'm talking about Darnold if he goes with somebody
if he goes
else.
somewhere else. My thought
O'Connell's
is
it's
a big deal.
A big part of this.
Sure. I think that they will probably end up signing both of them. That O'Connell can't get out of the door. This is posturing, and that's why I indulged the fantasy for just a second. Darnold, I suspect, will sign something similar to what Mayfield and Smith signed. I don't think he gets the Justin Herbert deal. I don't think he gets, certainly not the Joe Burrow deal. But he probably gets something that is between what Daniel Jones got and what Baker Mayfield / Geno Smith got. A 3-year deal somewhere in the vicinity of 150 at an inflation. 3 years, $150 million bucks. And you say, Sam Darnold really a $50 million quarterback? No, Derek Carr's not a $40 million quarterback, but that's what they cost.
Probably.
That's what they cost.
You're probably selling him a little short. I'll take the over.
Over $150 million?
Total deal, yeah, for Darnold, yeah.
I'll set 150 million as the total.
I mean, it goes. I mean, look what's in the draft this year. Look how many teams are going to be without a quarterback. We know that they overdraft quarterbacks. They overspend on quarterbacks. I think he's going to get a little higher.
Also depends, I think, from Minnesota's standpoint, if they decide to re-sign him, what they think they can get for J.J. McCarthy.
What kind of quarterback do you think he is moving forward?
I think he's Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith. I think he's somewhere between 10 and 16, something like that. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Mayfield was second in the league in interceptions, but I think he had a better year than Geno.
I think he was also third in the league in touchdowns. So high risk, high reward.
So Geno single-handedly lost some games by himself.
Yeah.
That Rams game at home, my gosh. Jeez.
Tough at times. We're here at Modesto, corner of Burbank and Nicholson. Again, happy hour Tuesday through Friday, 2 to 6, half off draft beer, wine, and house margaritas. We'll check in with Randy McKay, see what the big dog thinks about the playoffs, both in college and the NFL. That's next here, live at lunch from Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Windows, doors, siding, and shutters, Relief Windows has it all for you. Your homeowners association require wood windows. We're proud to be the premier gelled wood windows company at Relief Windows. These wooden windows combine the beauty of real wood with high-tech energy efficiency features for all climate zones, specially built for extreme weather conditions here in South Louisiana. Built using RLS wood, gelled windows come with a 20-year general warranty and a lifetime limited warranty against rot and termites, providing years of beauty and minimal maintenance. Sure wish I'd known about these gel windows from Relief Windows at the original construction of my home. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, LouisianaSports.net, 1045ESPN.com. New Handycast up on YouTube. We got breakdown some of the film from the Texas Bowl with mostly the players that will be returning for next year that are spotlighted on that podcast, which is up right now on YouTube. Let's bring in Randy McKay, professional sports handicapper. Randy, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, Charlie. Yeah, I haven't been on for a while, so it's good to be back.
Well, I know that the break did you some good, and I got to give you credit. The North Dakota State, you had that on Monday night. They were the underdog, something that is very unusual for that program, but I thought it was a fantastic game. You had runs for both teams. You had a competitive fourth quarter. You had a one-score game, and North Dakota State, got the win. But I thought it was a terrific game in Frisco.
Yeah, death taxes, North Dakota State covering numbers. That's what it's been the last few years, and was a great game. And they got off to the nice lead there in the first half, and Montana State made a big comeback, but they were able to hold in there and get the victory and get number 11, I believe, for the school.
Big dog, I'm back, man. I hadn't been on since everything's gone down, so I said I got to get over here to Modesto to talk to the big dog before these games this week, man. So, I mean, North Dakota State, we were coming out of the interface prayer service, prayer service at the cathedral. That was at Monday night. Monday night. And so we got over to Drago's, and I saw they were rolling. Did they lead gate to wire on Monday night?
Yeah, they led the game throughout, but of course Montana State had a touchdown and 2-point conversion, and then another touchdown to cut it to 3 a couple times. So it was a close game. A nice second half there, and it was good for the over. I had a little bit on the over too, so that came in as well.
At one point, Montana State had the ball down one score with 9 minutes to go. They got the ball right about their own 20.
That was obviously the closest they had.
Yeah,
did you get 4, Randy? Because it went to 4 for me.
Yeah, it actually went to 5 at some places.
Oh, geez.
So, yeah, it was. I even put a lot more on it, so that was good for me. So, when it goes against me and I really like something like that, I just keep firing.
Yes, indeed. All right, there's the flowers. Here come the darts. What the hell happened to our boy Darnold and the Vikings on Sunday night? What? I'm shocked that they were not able to move the ball. I mean, I just saw. In my recency bias, I saw Brock Purdy go up and down the field against the same group.
Yeah, and a good game plan as well. You got to give Aaron Glenn a lot of credit, but yeah, you get Sam Darnold's dud game there, unfortunately, in the biggest spot, which kind of feared of, but yeah, so it was a tough one, especially being a backer and being a fan of the team, and then of course having them bet last week. That was frustrating.
All right, Randy, we got 5 days of playoffs, college and pro. Notre Dame and Penn State get it kicked off tomorrow night, and Ohio State and Texas on Friday, and then 3 days of NFL games. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I don't have anything in the two matchups yet. I was maybe looking at some unders, but I see they've been getting cracked. And you even have to look at the total as far as the Ohio State game. You even have to look at taking the over, see if Texas wants to go against that firepower that Ohio State has. That'll be an interesting game, but just about all NFL action for me.
All right, well, who you like?
All right, we'll go the second game. I don't have any action yet on the Chargers or Texans. I maybe favor the home dog there. Just this Charger team really hasn't played, great competition or beat better competition. So traveling on the road, getting a dog was probably the right way to go. But I haven't taken anything yet. But that second game there with the Steelers, I took a +10. There's probably still some available if you look around. And, this is the third meeting this year between the two rivals, and getting this many points is coming off the recency bias in the current flow of the Steeler team that's lost 4 or 5 straight here, haven't looked good. And but the big thing here for Baltimore, no Flowers, and I just still don't trust this defense cover this kind of double-digit number here. So if they don't get the turnover, or Steelers don't turn the ball over like they did last meeting, I feel like they can hang in this game and maybe even have a chance to have the outright upset.
Watching that game between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati the other night, I was on the Bengals, felt like I was on the right side, and they were up covering most of the way. And Cincinnati kind of lets them hang around, kicks too many field goals. They let Pittsburgh hang around in the game, and then when they muff a punt in the fourth quarter, there's Pittsburgh, with probably one of the 2 or 3 best kickers in the league, and they cover again. And I just found myself at the end of the game going, how in the world did Pittsburgh cover in that game? Because I thought, for most of the way, Cincinnati was really in control, but that's what the Steelers do.
Yeah, and I had Cincinnati as well, Charlie, and like I always tell anybody, you got to get the best of the number there, because you could have won on either side. So you get to get the best of it. I had Cincinnati, minus the 1.5, and that was a pretty much an outright game. But then of course the Steelers found a way, and I don't know if Tomlin made the right choice kicking that field goal, but got the money for the backers.
Sunday, 3 games. Sean Payton has got the Broncos into the playoffs. The Eagles are sweating Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniels, a rookie quarterback for Washington, makes his playoff debut on the road against the Bucs. Anything jump out to you in the Sunday action?
Yeah, I like to go against rookie quarterbacks, especially in the playoffs. So I teased down the Buffalo Bills here at 2.5. Maybe not still available. There's still some 8.5 books out there, so you can still do it, or do a 6.5 point teaser. Experienced team versus a young team. And like I said, rookie quarterback on the road, where this Bills defense relies on turnovers. So, and also this Denver defense hasn't really played well against the better offenses in the league. If you look at the games against Baltimore and some of these other, top flying AFC teams. So, I could see Allen having a lot of success here, and Denver not keeping up. So covering a teaser shouldn't be a trouble, but covering the spread, that's always a little tougher.
So Broncos, and you're going to pair that. Are you going against the Commanders?
The other rookie quarterback? No, not in that one. I'm going to pair the teaser with the L.A. Rams here, getting them up to 7.5. That might not still be available because this line has crashed down some, but you still tease them up to +7. And pretty much basic handicap here. Rams rested starters versus the Vikings, all in play in the game that we just talked about, historic division game. Rams won a close game earlier this year on a Thursday night. Little help with that face mask call late game, but I can see this game, being a close one back and forth, and getting plus 7.5 here on the teaser. It looks like a way to go.
Jalen Hurts is going back to practice today, so it looks like he's going to play. We were kind of talking about if he didn't get out of the concussion protocol, what it might do to that line. Looks like it's going to hang there at 4.5, because if he's back at practice today, they expect him to play in that Packers-Eagles game. We were kind of speculating yesterday if he didn't get back, what he might be worth on that Packers-Eagles line.
Yeah, and I seen a little tick down here as we were talking here on the board there. It went down from 46 to 45.5 total, and I think that's the way to go in this game, is to bet the under. With these two quarterbacks being a little banged up, I could see more game flow, being more conservative as far as running the ball, using Barkley, using, Jacobs on the other side. So I could see them two having a lot of success grinding down the clock. And, of course, the game earlier in this year was in Mexico and it was 34-29. I don't see nothing like that in this game. And Green Bay does get a few defensive players back, so that should help their defense a little bit here. That's been a little bit shaky down the stretch. So that would be my recommendation. That game would be under the total.
Is there anything in the futures market, either the college or the pro, to go to the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl, to win the national championship? Anything now that we've got these matchups set that has jumped out at you?
Yeah, I haven't taken anything. I have the Lions at 11-1 to win it all, so I got pretty good position there. I don't have anything in the AFC, so that's what I would probably look at. But NFC's pretty wide open still, even with the Lions having the home field advantage. But nothing for me yet. But that's what I got going in.
Randy, are you like me when it gets to playoff time where, they're standalone games, like the primetime games on Sunday or Monday night, or standalone games that, there's so much casual action to drive the total up that you're dealing with a little bit of an inflated number to begin with. But also, like you said, it could be weather, but all the officiating, they tend to eat the whistles more. Not as many interference, defensive holding, and things like that. Do you give a stronger consideration to the unders like I do in the start of the playoffs?
Yeah, I definitely do, and you're seeing the totals reflect that in the market as well. The only game I probably wouldn't recommend under in is the Broncos-Bills game, but all the rest of the games I would recommend looking under the total. Even this Vikings game is ticked up to 48. It opened like 46, but even that game, I would tend to look under. Like you said, the refs swallow the whistles, and there's more, hand fighting going on and that kind of thing. The best way to look is under the total in these games. Usually not as high scoring as the regular season is.
Randy, last thing, because we know you're plugged in up in that part of the country to the Vikings and go to Vikings games at times. What is the Will family thinking with this kind of public jousting with Kevin O'Connell, the coach, over his contract? Their team's lined up to trade for this guy if they put him on the market, and O'Connell says he wants to stay there. What do you make of this kind of public negotiation between the coach and the team?
Crazy. Wilk family is a little bit out of their mind sometimes, and O'Connell is proven to be a very good coach, very smart young guy, and somebody you want to keep on your franchise for a long time. Could be the next Bud Grant of that franchise. So definitely they should look to sign him for multiple years or sell the team and get out of town.
It's amazing how many fans want their owners to sell the team these days. It seems to be on an uptick. Randy, we always appreciate your time. Good luck on all of the games this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys, and good luck everybody out there.
Professional sports handicapper Randy McKay. We're at Modesto, corner of Burbank and Nicholson, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Store Sister Properties, helping you for home improvements. If you've been putting off those projects and you're saying, hey, new year 2025, but I just don't have the equipment to do what I need. Huge selection at the Thibodeau store of power tools and hand tools, plumbing supplies, carpentry supplies, things to help you clean your yard. Huge selection of lawnmowers and riding lawnmowers. You can get it taken care of. If you don't know exactly how to proceed with some of these projects, there are experts there. We'll talk you through it. They'll walk you through step by step. You're not wasting time. You're not wasting money. You're not having to depend on a YouTube video to take care of these repairs. And some of them you can do yourself. You can save yourself a lot of money. Also, as we head into the spring months, jambalaya and crawfish boils, jambalaya and crawfish pots for those crawfish boils and for your tailgating for jambalaya. Lots of fishing gear as well if you're heading down to the coast at the Thibodeau store. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, online with free delivery. It's ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Saints this morning reworking a contract. Ordinarily that would drive me crazy, but this one they have to, and it's for good reason. They're reworking a contract to Ryan Ramczyk. This is so that Ramczyk can retire. This is it's gonna clear about $16 million, a little over $16 million of cap space for the Saints. Basically what happens is he reduces his base salary to the league minimum this year, and then he retires, so you can account for this. I criticize the Saints when I think they make foolish moves, and there's a lot of room for all that. This one, they did everything right, and this was just bad luck. They traded for this pick. This was the pick that they got in the Brandon Cooks trade. So the Patriots had won the Super Bowl that year. That was the last pick of the first round. Ramczyk was not the biggest tackle was not the biggest need for the Saints that year, but they took what they thought was the best player on the board. It was a terrific pick. He was on the all-rookie team. He was either first or second team all-pro the next 3 years. Then they did what they should have done with a 27-year-old, three-time first or second team all-pro lineman. They signed him to a contract extension at 27. And he never played it down after the age of 29. And it wasn't a guy who had a big injury history. It wasn't anything that you could have seen coming. He had been a really, really durable player. He'd been an outstanding player. He'd been great in the locker room. And at 29, he gets this degenerative injury that ends his career. So I'll criticize the Saints when I think they need to be criticized. This one, and sometimes when they say, oh, that was bad luck, it's like, no, man, you could have kind of seen it coming. You extend a 34-year-old guy. You couldn't see that he was winding down or things like that. This one, complete pass. They did everything that they were supposed to. They made a great pick. They did what they were supposed to do with his contract, and they just got unlucky with him. So it's going to save him some salary cap room with the reworking of that contract.
Go. O'Connell will look past all the other 8 openings and go straight to the Saints, baby.
I just report the news here, sometimes.
You can't, serious, but the offensive linemen usually have the longest careers. They hang around.
Yeah, you sign a 27-year-old lineman to contract
position allows
extension.
them to have lengthy careers. So.
Yeah, that's not one that I can blame the Saints on. I would have done every team in the league would have extended a 27-year-old Ryan Ramczyk at that point in his career, and it didn't work. The Saints are some $66 million roughly over the cap, so this will get them down to 50, and then they gotta do the rest of the cap gymnastics between now and March. But this one, it sucks. Ryan Ramczyk could have been one of the best linemen in Saints history. It would have been a hell of a deal for him to eclipse what Willie Rofe did or Jari Evans did. Those are Hall of Fame type players, but he was on his way. I mean, if you make All-Pro 3 times in your first 4 years, you're on your way. Unfortunately, it's going to come to an end for Ramczyk way too soon in his career. We'll take a break. Scott Rabelais from The Advocate with us when we return here at Modesto, Burbank at Nicholson, live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And a return here to Live at Lunch from Modesto. Come on by and see us for lunch. Terrific tacos. The fajitas here are terrific. The skirt steak, the chicken, the shrimp, portobello, enchiladas, and, of course, the great margaritas here. Tacos, tequila, and whiskey at Modesto. The great margaritas here. And happy hour Tuesday through Friday, 2 to 6. Half off draft beer, wine, and house margaritas here. But they'll make you a specialty margarita. They got quite the menu here. Try something a little bit different here at Modesto. Let's bring in our friend Scott Rabley from the Advocate. Rab, how you doing? Staying warm?
Not much, but that's okay. I like a little different season once in a while, you know.
Well, we have different seasons here in Baton Rouge. We have early summer, late summer, and then winter for about 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something like something like that. No. If you're waiting for the fall leaves, you're gonna have to go on vacation somewhere else. You're not gonna get that here.
No, the fall leaves here just give up all at once. So they just fall.
Yes,
a brown pile around my house.
Right in a short period of time. Scott, tomorrow night the playoffs start. Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas on Friday night. Let me ask you about the system first, because you've been in some of these meetings with some of these committees, be it football or basketball before. You kind of got embedded a couple of times with some of these things. Do you think that with 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the semifinals and 1, 2, 3, and 4 who got by sitting at home, that we're going to have a change to this system after 1 year?
I think there's going to be a lot of push for it, and I think there's going to be a lot of push against it. The SEC and the Big Ten have formed this group joint advisory committee, which sounds nice, but it basically means we want you to do what we want you to do because we're the two biggest dogs in the room. I don't know. I mean, I can hear compelling arguments for both. I mean, I think there's a lot of pushback to the four conference champions, the four highest ranked conference champions getting buys, and we saw because they didn't line up with the seedings, and certainly it was confusing. And for one, and two, it made it look, is this fair or not? Are teams rewarded properly on what they need to be? Because you can certainly make the argument that at least one or two of these teams that are in the semifinals deserve to be, seated in the top four. All that being said, I'm going by what Heather Dinich reported last week from ESPN, saying that change is unlikely for next season because everyone's got to get on board and they can't form a consensus, and there's going to be a new TV contract coming out after that, and so whether the format changes or the number of teams change seems inevitable, but I don't think it's going to come. Apparently, it's not going to come right away. Heather's as plugged in as anybody in that, so I would tend to go with what she says.
Yeah, what it is, and I heard a report as well, is for next year, for the second year, everybody has to vote unanimously, even the teams like the Boise, Western Conference or something like that.
Yes,
so trying to get everybody there, but. For the third year, the seeding's going to be shook up. I mean, this is all you need to see. Yeah. 5 through 8 are there.
I think that the seeding definitely gets changed, not next year, but the following year when the TV contract redoes. And, Scott, the big question was when they did the contract again, the TV contract again, would they go from 12 teams to 14 teams? I wonder if these results might not just cut to the chase and zoom this thing right to 16 and say, you know what, nobody gets buys.
You're saying like the non-competitive results?
Yeah,
okay.
that all of the teams that with buys lost, and those are teams that, quite frankly, they want in the the latter rounds of the playoffs. Those are the teams that have the best regular seasons. So do they just bypass 14 and go straight to 16?
Anything's possible. 14 seems to be the number everyone keeps bandying about as being where what it would expand to. But you can definitely make an argument for that. And what you're saying, no buys and everything. Everybody goes to that. Now that that brings up a longer, it's a longer schedule. It's guaranteed for everybody right now.
They're professionals now. They're professionals.
I know.
I'm serious. They're professionals now. So.
Well, if Texas and Penn State win, any of these teams win. They all play in the first round. Any of these teams win, they could play in the 17 games. They're going to play 17 games. So. Is the equivalent of the NFL schedule now. So Yeah, you're right. They want to be treated like professionals, obviously. Be careful what you ask for, little boy. You'll surely get it.
I'm not going to even pretend anymore. They're professionals, I'm not concerned about it. All right, let's talk about the games. Notre Dame and Penn State. The line is back down to Notre Dame as a 1.5 favorite tomorrow night at the Orange Bowl. Who you like?
I've liked the Irish since the beginning, especially with their going up against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl with the backup quarterback. I thought the clock might strike big night for the Bulldogs, and it did. I like Notre Dame against Indiana. Penn State has surprised me a little bit to make it this far. Quite honestly, I thought one of these other teams could trip them up, and they look very impressive so far. But I like the Irish. Their defense and just not overwhelming teams, but just methodically just wearing you down. I like Notre Dame.
Ohio State and Texas Buckeyes are rolling. Texas a 5.5-point underdog in the very nearby Cotton Bowl, and what is going to be a snowy Arlington/Dallas area over the next few days.
Yeah, I think will Ohio State petition for the roof to be open?
I doubt it. I heard the snow's going to be so bad there that even the northern teams don't want it.
Yeah, really. This is kind of remember that Super Bowl they had in Dallas when they had just all the ice and everything. How bad it was that year.
Green Bay, Pittsburgh.
Anyway, I mean Texas kind of has quote unquote home field advantage, obviously. But I see those Ohio State people at these games, man. They travel like mad. So I don't know if anyone can get to the game. My money's on the Buckeyes fans. They've been playing. Ohio State's been playing so well, and if any team has a chip on their shoulder, or any coach has a chip on their shoulder, is Ryan Day. I said to this Dodd from CBS Sports, Ryan Day, win the national championship or not, he should leave Ohio State. And I kind of root for that. Like bye. You don't appreciate me. I don't want you either. But I've not been as impressed with how Texas has played, and I don't understand. They move the ball. They move the ball effectively, but they're just not cashing in the red zone as much. And they did everything they could to lose that Arizona State game in the Peach Bowl, right? I mean, the fourth quarter, they did everything they could to try to lose that game, and they finally converted 4th and 13, and they end up winning the game. But I like Ohio State. Which means no SEC team in the national championship game for a second straight year. How will we live?
Texas isn't really an SEC team.
I know.
I mean, they are, but that's going to take some getting used to. All right, Scott, you've been able to. Yesterday when we did first class, second class, no class, I put the LSU women's basketball team in second class because good with a chance to be great. They're undefeated, and to listen to Kim Mulkey, and I know we get a certain amount of coach speak. But she seems really serious when she's, I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know how good we are. They haven't settled on a lineup yet, despite being 17-0. They've got 2 players on the wooden list, so they've got star power. They've got a little bit of depth, but we don't really know how good they are. We're about to find out with Tennessee and South Carolina, both in the next 4 games. How good do you think they are?
I think they're very good. I think they're an Elite 8 team. For this season, like they were last year at the least. But they are a bit of an enigma, as Charlie Cream, the ESPN bracketologist, put them. He's got them as a 2 seed, which is better than they were the last 2 years. They would if that held. They're 17-0, but it's some really close calls. Need a last-second shot from Gilbert to beat Washington. They come from behind, only up 1, with about 7 minutes to go against Albany, and blowing them out. Had to come from behind in another couple of games. They give up a lot of shots around the basket, and it seems like a lot of drives or bunches of 3 sometimes, and then yet they lead the SEC in field goal percentage defense. And they're great at rebounding, but they turn the ball over in bunches sometimes. They don't have a true point guard that she settled on. I think she would have thought by now it would be Cheyenne Day Wilson, who's had some injury issues. So it's been a problem, for that. But yeah, they're undefeated. They're still one of the best teams in the country and have as good a nucleus as anyone could want. With Anissa Morrow, who's just playing out of her mind. She's about to become the 7th player in NCAA history with 2,500 career points and 1,500 career rebounds. Flau'jae Johnson is tremendous. Michaela Williams can fill it up. And then they've got a lot more depth to the guard play. So I think they could lose tomorrow night, and it's not the end of the world if they lose at Tennessee on the road, who's is an improved team under Kim Caldwell, their first-year coach. But at the same time, they could. I think they have a chance to. I think good with a chance to be great is a perfect way to describe it. But by March, they could be a team they're like, I really don't want to see this team in our bracket.
Yeah, Morrow is averaging 14 rebounds a game. 14 rebounds a game. That's about what
picked up a little Angel slack. Huh?
That's about what Angel Reese averaged last year. I think she averaged 13 and a half, and 14 rebounds a game is an unbelievable stat.
Speaking of that South Carolina game, Charlie, that's the next test coming up later this month after the Tennessee game. Their best post player, Ashlyn Watkins, just went out for the season with an ACL injury. They lost Camila Cardozo to the WNBA. They don't have a lot of rebounding help, and LSU is really good at rebounding. So I give LSU a better shot in that game than I would have beforehand. I'm sorry the girl's injured, but the young lady's injured. But I do give them a better shot when they go to Columbia this time than 2 years ago.
Last thing, Scott, you cover LSU gymnastics. They have started the season, defending national champions, and I believe Haley Bryant is going to be on the vault. Is that correct?
Beam.
The beam. I'm sorry. I said the vault.
Yeah.
On the beam.
Come on, Charlie. I've been going for a little bit, Scott.
My nose.
In Charlie's defense, she hurt her elbow on vault in their exhibition meet last month. She hurt her UCL. And I don't know if it's one of the ligaments that Jimmy has injured over the years, but the UCL is something you got to watch out for with the elbows. And beam is a good place to come back because it's the least impactful on the elbow. So she'll be back on that, and then I would expect to see her ramp up, as we go forward. Supposedly she's not in any pain, but yeah, they're in this big quad meet in Oklahoma City on Saturday on ABC. Saturday at 3:00. It's LSU, Oklahoma, Cal, and Utah. Three of the four teams that made it to the national final last year. So it should be quite an entertaining meet, and it'll be very good to see her back because they weren't sure when they were going to get her back, and now we're going to see her back at least in a limited capacity on Saturday.
We're not experts. Where do they rank as, how would you compare them to last year's team? Where do they rank?
LSU?
Yeah.
I think they've just as good a chance to win as they did last year. I mean, Oklahoma, of course, just blew it in the semifinal, on vault, and that opened the door for LSU. But yeah, if Haley can come back fully healthy, and they, they're pretty loaded. Watch out for the freshman Kaylin Chio. She's very, very good. She did the all around the other night. She's really good. Leah Finnegan looked great. Connor McLean's coming back. A lot of depth on this team too. They have just as good a shot as they had last year.
Scott, we always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Y'all take care.
All right. We'll take a break. We're brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff, they have helped us out. Some really positive things that you can do just from an exercise and stretch standpoint that they can clue you in on, and then they can go to work making adjustments for you, targeting those problem areas. If you need a dry needle or electric nerve stimulation, cryo, ultrasound therapy, can help you with all of those things. They've helped other members of our family with back pain, neck pain, soreness, those things that are just keeping you from getting around or being able to get a good night's sleep. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla. Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. We'll take a break here at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Lofton Staffing Services matches hard workers with the most sought-after employers. So Lofton, you're more than just another employee. We care about your interests and we'll match you with a company that needs your skills. You can complete an application. You can schedule an interview. You can even browse jobs, the comfort of your own home at Lofton.jobs. Lofton also offers an unlimited $100 referral bonus. Lofton Staffing Services. We've been putting people to work since 1979. 924-0200 and Lofton.jobs.
From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
And we return here at Modesto on Burbank at Nicholson. Come by and see us here for lunch. We're inside today. This is a heated patio, but it's a little chilly out there today. So we are inside here at Modesto. Wes Reynolds joins us now. Wes, you ready for the college football playoffs? Start tomorrow night. Seems like these games are almost right on top of each other. We're used to the bowl season being so far removed from the regular season, but I like it, so I know you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely, Charlie. Look, I think we got four pretty good teams in the semifinals. I don't think we've had really a elite dominant team all year in college football. That got shown in the Rose Bowl as Oregon got beat handily by Ohio State. But I think the four teams that are there are the four teams that should be there.
Tomorrow night, Penn State is a 1.5-point dog to Notre Dame. This line, I saw 2.5 at some point earlier in the week. Looks like it's back down there. The total's 44.5. What do you see in this this Big Ten-ish? Feels like a Big Ten game tomorrow night in Miami.
Yeah, I like Penn State here getting the 1.5. I just wonder with Notre Dame. They really couldn't, they couldn't run the ball, I don't think, very effectively against Georgia, with the exception of Leonard. Like, Leonard had to really carry the weight for them in that game. Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, they only had 56 yards and 16 carries. And Love, by the way, got hurt in that game as well, so he's probably not near 100%. Limped off again against Georgia in that quarterfinal. So I worry about Notre Dame in terms of a lack of explosiveness down the field. And they had one play that was 15-plus yards against Georgia. And you needed a +2 turnover margin. You needed a kick return touchdown, 3 stops on 4th down to go ahead and prevail and hold off Georgia in that game. Now, maybe they can do it again, but I just don't think that either of these teams really don't generate a lot of pass plays down the field, but I think Penn State's passing game is at least a little bit more consistent. Notre Dame's been a little banged up on defense, so I think Penn State, finally Big Game James, is going to win a big game, and I think they're going to the national championship.
Jeremiah Love, Marcus Freeman said today is good to go for tomorrow night's game. James Franklin said that Abdul Carter, the premier pass rusher, should be good to go, but they're still calling him a game-time decision, so we'll see both of those stars in the game tomorrow night. Wes, in that game against Boise, I saw him make some throws that I thought he was capable of, but just haven't seen, especially in games of that magnitude. And now there's talk about if after these playoffs he puts himself in the NFL draft, he may go number 1 overall. We'll get to that when it comes up. But for the moment, do you think he's really stepped up his game, or was it just a matter of circumstances?
Maybe a little bit of both, Charlie. I think that Andy Kotelnicki, when he came in as the offensive coordinator this year for Kansas, he thought, man, they're going to do all this really creative motion like they did at Kansas, but he kind of had to do that because the personnel obviously isn't as good as Penn State personnel. But, you wonder, the play calling in some games I think has been really suspect for this Penn State team. We know that they're a run-based team with Allen and Singleton, and that's their bread and butter. And Aller certainly can run. But the problem with Penn State, they don't have that game-breaking receiver. They don't have that Dotson like that they had a couple years ago that could really stretch the field. Even though they were taking some shots against Boise State, I think that was just picking on one of those corners. But the tight end certainly is an absolute weapon, and I think you're going to see Penn State try to attack that middle of the field early and often.
Ohio State and Texas, Buckeyes at 5.5 right now. We've seen this go as high as 6.5 earlier in the week. They're sitting at 5.5 right now, 53.5. Will Howard, can have played any better the last 2 games. Couldn't have played any worse against Michigan. Couldn't have played any better the last 2 weeks. Texas survived in the game against Arizona State. Very nearly let that one get away. Nearby, Arlington for the Texas Longhorns, a 5.5-point underdog. Who you like?
Yeah, and I'm not surprised it got a little buyback. I think that line came out at 6 so high because Ohio State was so impressive, obviously, against Tennessee in the first round and then against Oregon in the Rose Bowl. But you can kind of become prisoners of the moment a little bit. So I wasn't surprised to see that drop. There's still some 6 out there, and I do like the 6 with Texas. I think that they're more physical at the line of scrimmage certainly than Oregon was. I think that they're going to be able to run the ball. You've obviously got a lot of weapons that you have to deal with from that Ohio State receiving corps. But, you look at it, and Ohio State was so impressive, and Texas, you feel like they were life and death, even though they were up, I think, like 24-8 at one point in that Peach Bowl against Arizona State. Arizona State was out yarding them by a ton, and it felt like Texas was hanging on, and they had to hang on and had to win in double overtime. So it was like, well, Texas just got by Arizona State, and Ohio State absolutely smashed Oregon. So I think that gets priced in a number. Texas does have to find the running game, and I think that they can, with just some better play calling. I think they were predictable against ASU. Wisner and Blue combined for 22 carries for 50 yards, and we know how well they ran it against Clemson. But I just think this line is a little bit too high. I think this might have been Ohio State 3 if it's a somewhat competitive game close to the number against Oregon. So hook 'em horns. I think we get Penn State and Texas in the final.
All right, let's move into the NFL. You got 6 playoff games spread out from Saturday to Monday. Which of those do you like the best?
Yeah, we'll go to the Monday night game first. I like the Rams getting 1.5, and I think that there's now some 1 out there. Minnesota's been a hell of a story, and Kevin O'Connell is probably going to win Coach of the Year, but I think they got a little bit exposed. I think against Detroit on Sunday night. Rams aren't going to play as much man coverage as Detroit is going to do, but Darnold actually has been a lot better against man than he has against zone. I think he's 20th in EPA expected points added per dropback against zone. So I think the Rams are going to play that scheme. McVay didn't use any of his guys necessarily, or a lot of his key guys against Seattle, but I think they're going to benefit from some rest a little bit. The offense had been a little bit stagnant since the Bills game, but I think this is a good matchup for Matt Stafford because of the Vikings running zone at such a high rate, and they blitz more than anybody. Brian Flores loves the blitz, and Matthew Stafford can cook that blitz. And I think it's going to be nothing that he hasn't seen before. The Rams' offensive line is getting healthier, and it's really the healthiest it's been all season. You're going to get Habenstein back. So I like the Rams getting a 1.5 or even a point. I think they win the game outright against the Vikings Monday night.
Rams a home. We're showing 1 right now at SoFi. Any of the games, Wes? We got rookie quarterbacks making starts on the road. We got a double-digit or right at a double-digit spread in the Ravens and Steelers game, a rivalry game, and the Texans, who it seems like clinched a playoff spot right around Thanksgiving, are a home dog to Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers.
And there's not a lot of love for the Texans, and I guess I can understand why, because quite frankly, they have not looked like the record. I think it's been a byproduct of being in that division. However, I do kind of like them getting 3 here. You have to pay a little bit of big, I think, most spots. I think a lot of places it's 3 even money or 3 minus $1.05 for the Chargers. But the Chargers they don't have a lot of that playoff experience, and Houston does. Despite the fact that C.J. Stroud's had a little bit more of a sophomore slump this season, but I worry about the Chargers against the pass rush here. Even though they've upgraded their offensive line, that Texans pass rush, that defense, D'Amico Ryans and his group on defense has been terrific. They're first in pass rush win rate with Daniil Hunter and with Will Anderson. They both got double-digit sacks. I think the Chargers, you give them the edge in terms of coaching staff and maybe in terms of the quarterback as well, but I think Houston. I think it's a little high to be giving the Texans at home, who at least are somewhat playoff proven.
College basketball, I would say that it's a good slate. Jimmy always says, why do you say good slate? We like all the games.
There are a lot of winners in there, Wes. Honda for us.
The SEC is not going to have a night at any point this year that is not going to involve at least one game between 2 very highly thought of teams, and most of the nights it's going to be multiple. But anything catch your attention tonight?
Well, the SEC game I'm looking at right now, I'm seeing Oklahoma -3 against Texas A&M, and that has been a huge mover. Yeah, I'm not really surprised that Porter Moses guys got a little bit exposed on Saturday against Alabama. They were undefeated, and yet you had Alabama laying double digits, and Bama just put them away. And Bama, I think, is Final Four good, but Wade Taylor he's not going to go for A&M, so that's why you've been seeing the movement. But maybe A&M first half, step up without your star at least early on here. But look, the SEC has certainly been fun to watch. I couldn't believe even though I took Florida last night, that Tennessee, I think at like the under 8 timeout, had less than 30 points against the Gators last night. And then Auburn was boat racing Texas, and then Texas makes a late run into this game. Georgia beats Kentucky. Maybe Georgia's for real, and that's kind of a dark horse we need to look at. But for all the people in SEC country that were so upset about, the anti-SEC sentiment in football, you've got the best basketball conference you've ever had down there in the SEC. I mean, they might get 12 teams in the tournament.
Lenardi's got 13 right now.
Yeah, they are as strong as we've ever seen them watching this. And, the home courts are, for the most part, holding. That's why I liked Mississippi State's win against Vandy last night. I know Vandy's not very good, is not one of the top teams in this league, but they're not bad.
Auburn wins but doesn't cover on the road.
Yeah, and State won it by dozen. I watched the end of that Auburn-Texas game because, like a fool, I bet against Auburn last night. I took Texas in the points and felt extremely lucky to have covered. That game wasn't as close as the 5 point.
It was sloppy defensively at the end.
Yeah,
they allowed a lot of
Auburn
points.
was up double digits with 2 minutes to go, and it just got a little bit sloppy at the end. Texas they had 2 back-to-back shots, but they never had the ball in the one possession.
Small consolation around here, though, Wes. They want to win in football, brother. I mean, we're excited about basketball, but it is not the same as football.
Well, I'm glad we don't have a Big Ten SEC challenge in basketball because my Big Ten would get absolutely slaughtered.
Well, I can tell you this, that, of course, as the conferences grow larger, of course, you're going to have record number of participants make it to the tournament and things like that. And the RPI has been updated with the NET on the selection committee as a metric to be used. But the conference RPI is with cushion, they're the highest ever, at the end of the season. Most of the damage is done non-conference. So your conference RPI is not going to alter when you're just playing amongst each other. How about Hideki close in? Who you got in the Sony this weekend?
Yeah, unfortunately, I was on Morikawa, and, you shoot 32 under and you get beat by 3. It's like, oh, man, what are you going to do? But Hideki putted the lights out. So in the Sony this week at Waialae, a little bit of a narrower course, probably not going to see the 30 under it, maybe mid-teens. But Tom Kim at 20-1 or north really ended the season well in 2024. Didn't get the wins, but he got a couple runner-ups. Maverick McNeely, 28-1, did win the season finale at the RSM, top 10 last week at the Century, even though he really didn't putt well. We know that's the strength of his game. Going back to our guy, Austin Eckroat, 40-1, who we won on in Mexico in late November, a guy that I think could flourish on these shorter courses where he draws it off the tee. Sepp Straka, 60-1, a guy that I had on the card last week, really struck the ball well, just didn't make a lot of putts. Daniel Berger, 65-1, who saved his card actually at the RSM in November, coming back from that back injury that kept him out for 18 months. And then the Canadian, Nick Taylor, 115-1. He was top 7 here at this event the last 2 years.
You're nodding over there on Nick Taylor, Max. The camera's not on you right now, but you seem to like that.
Yeah, I like Nick Taylor a lot. The Canadian, when his putter pops off, he suits this course well. He's done it in the last 3 events here, and he's one of my most profitable bettors after just popping off at the Phoenix Open last year. He's got the game where when he's in contention, he doesn't get shied away from the moment.
Wes, real quick, we're up against the end, but did you watch the indoor golf last night?
I did. I liked it. I thought it was something unique and kind of cool, so I did watch some of it. The players seem to be having fun with it. So, we'll see if it still draws the interest a month later, but I think it was just a nice change of pace to have something different on the television last night.
Wes, we always appreciate your time watching on VSiN. Appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you next week.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
course, Wes Reynolds, part of our consensus report as we try and transition from football season into golf. And so, of course, that's brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. So we'll get all of our golf contributors lined up, when moving forward. But, of course, putting out some best. And Wes is our guy. He's our go-to guy. So we'll get Max's in there as well. But our golf consensus picks brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Workbox Services can handle all of your movable storage needs. Commercial. Chad Reynolds, a Legacy Title, 296-0060 for all of you real estate closings. Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adria Galata, Michael Platt, our great staff at Legacy Title. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, a Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Going by here at Modesto, which, by the way, has since the last time we've been
first
here,
time I've seen it.
has expanded their facility here, expanded their seating.
Looks good,
you
man.
got a chance to see it. What do you think about the new addition here?
I like it. It's got its own private bar in there with TV. It's got a lot of cool nice flooring. It's looks good, man, and it's kind of segmented, so it's kind of separated from the original seating part of the restaurant. So a lot of room, man. It came out really good.
Jimmy, you may remember this conversation you and I had on the show. It's going back a while, probably, I don't know, it's 8 years, maybe a little bit more than that, where they were discussing about the transfer portal and it's coming into existence, and if they would have ever waived the 1-year requirement for to sit out once the transfer portal came into existence, which of course they eventually would. And I remember you and I having this conversation. Well, if you do that, you're going to have every group of 5 conferences, all-conference team essentially be
absolutely
a shopping list.
What's happening.
Yeah. Well, it's official now. The Sun Belt all-conference team, every single one of them went into the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. And the freshman of the year in the American, Coosa, the MAC, the Mountain West, the Sun Belt, and what's left of the Pac-12, all in the portal. What would you say?
It's minor league football, college football.
Absolutely. G5 to Power 4 transfers up just in this past year, up 40%. I mean, we thought it was bad to begin. 40% from last year to this year, over 260 players on that. And so I was wondering, I don't. Those are the football stats. I don't have the basketball stats in front of me, but it seemed to me a little bit. And watching the SEC for sure, the SEC is so good, but even the other power conferences, they seem to have a little bit more of an advantage over the mid majors in basketball too, because of the same reason that these clubs are being rated for, if you're a mid-major guy and you're a
Charlie, what player doesn't want to play at a stronger program?
Absolutely. And
when you say you got a kid, who's looking at him? You'd be more excited if the stronger programs are looking at him, no matter what sport, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. If it's just a general student, just academically, well, the stronger schools you're going to be more excited about. And so part of it kind of is fair. Okay, I didn't get the offers coming out, and not just that, but it's a lot more common. They're signing less and less straight out of high school. The numbers of the high school signing class are going or declining or getting smaller because they want more of a sure thing, and so if the 4 and 5 stars are getting offered by the big boys. But we know about those stars. They are not they're not. They can be very inaccurate, okay? And so a guy might have to go to Southeastern before he goes to LSU and prove himself. That's just one example.
That's
just one example. But isn't that kind of fair? that after he gets on the field, he has his chance, he proves himself, that, he gets an offer that has him more excited. Buddy Trey's daughter's she's transferred from Bowling Green to LSU in gymnastics. She's blown away with the facilities.
Yeah.
The nutrition, center, the nutrition stations, all these things, the locker room. I mean, that's exciting to be part of a bigger program. So if you go to no matter what sport you're in, but the tape is rolling, and so I think that's the fair part, as opposed to, hey man, I'll offer the guy here early. He's a miss. He was a 4-star, but he can't play. But we're stuck with him now for 4 years, unless what they call him? What was the term where they kind of cut him? It used to be something else, but process. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that means cut.
Right.
I mean, Steve Spurrier had all kinds of guys getting in trouble at the Purple Porpoise, but the one guy couldn't play. Nope, he's cut. Disciplinary reasons.
Got to go. I'll give you 2 great examples of these players were not just recruited by LSU and signed by LSU. These were highly recruited guys, very highly rated guys. Walker Howard and Shelton Sampson going to be teammates next year at ULF yet. Didn't work out for them at this level. Maybe they find something, playing time, whatever, and it comes on at that level.
I missed it with all the services. Did Lane pop off on Twitter after they beat the hell out of Duke, which SMU struggled against?
If he did, I missed it too.
Not really. He finally gave that up.
Yeah, if he did, I didn't see it.
Do you think we have the 4 best teams
left?
Yeah.
No, I think Oregon would beat Notre Dame 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10.
Riley Leonard, 3.8 yards an attempt against Georgia.
I love Penn State in this game.
Oh, you do?
I do because I
think first overall pick. What am I watching? Huh?
You're watching on the come that they
really
they feel like
who's they?
The Scouts.
Really?
The Scouts.
It's a weak year at quarterback, huh?
It's a very weak year at quarterback. Both of those quarterbacks that are likely to go at the top of this draft would have been behind all of the first-round quarterbacks last year.
You think he's been good?
Alar?
Yeah.
I thought he was really good against Boise State. I thought he made some.
Did you watch the line of scrimmage? They were killing them. They went out of their way to stop themselves.
I get it.
They destroyed them up front.
There were throws that he made that most guys can't make. And he's a gigantic guy.
Really?
He's 6'5".
Okay.
He's 240 pounds. No, I see why the Scouts like him. Do I think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback?
He was part of the reason they didn't win 45-14. How did they not blow Boise State out, beating them like they did up front? I mean, they were destroying them.
Didn't Boise State win the yardstick?
3 of the 4.
Even playing with that defeatist attitude, trying to get that damn record instead of trying to score at the end. Well, handing them the ball instead of trying to score.
Yeah,
and then he busted a coverage.
I'm kind of discounting that. I see where the potential is with Alar. He has left me wanting more often than
Measurables
not.
is why he was a 5-star. Measurables is why they couldn't wait to get him there.
Right.
But damn it, he can't play, dude.
I saw him.
I'll go Desmond Ritter on you. I don't think he can play. He's got a good supporting cast, does he not?
He's got a good supporting cast. I think he's underachieved for most of his time at Penn State, but I see him coming on a little bit, and I see what the scouts say. Am I guaranteed that he's going to be a great NFL quarterback or even a starting NFL quarterback past his rookie contract? No, I can't tell you that for sure. But I watched Notre Dame against Georgia, and it was a backup quarterback for Georgia. We like him a little bit, but it was you could tell it's his first start.
Yeah.
You get a blindside hit that sets up a short field. You get a kickoff return. Georgia's got some yo-yo on the sideline that sabotages would have been 1st and 10 at the 11. They get a drop on a guy that was so wide open that it looked like he had stepped off the sidelines. I mean, Georgia made enough mistakes to lose 2 games over there. And Notre Dame, give them credit, they won the game, but I wasn't blown away with what Notre Dame did. I like Penn State a little bit better in this game because I've seen Penn State against Ohio State. They didn't win. They were in that game the whole way. I saw them against Oregon. They didn't win. They were in that game the whole way. I think that both of those teams would beat the Irish pretty handily, and I saw Penn State hang with them. I like the Lions tomorrow night. You? In case we don't get to talk to you tomorrow?
I think it's close. I think it's real close.
I
mean, it's a tough, but I think I'm going to be on Penn State.
Yeah.
I think the Irish are given a little bit more juice than they deserve. You know, the sequence at the end of the half, the turnover, touchdown, and the kickoff return. I mean, that's
the whole game.
You know, that's the difference of the game. And you know, and look, but they didn't do anything. I still don't think Riley Leonard's ready to. And I don't think Allaire is there. I think it's under, and I think the under's already moved, Max, like 4 or 5 points?
It was 46.5 earlier this week. I don't know where it is now, but
it is still, yeah.
Yeah, it dropped a little bit. 47 is a key number. It was over that when it opened up.
And I could see very easily a 21-10 game, 21-13 game in this. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Allaire. Okay.
And if Penn State gets into this thing, and they got, let's say they play Ohio State, that was a pretty close game. I know it was at Penn State, but the idea that Penn State could win a national championship.
They didn't score an offensive touchdown.
But it was a one-score game.
I know they didn't score an offensive touchdown.
I remember the game. We watched it together in Mississippi.
I know. They didn't score an offensive touchdown.
Did it ever occur to you at any point in this season that Penn State would win the national championship?
No.
That's a real possibility now.
Who got the breaks of the draw? With the screwed up seed.
Yeah.
Well, and Texas.
Yeah.
They're here.
Yes.
Okay.
But I could have seen Texas winning the national title. It never occurred to me that Penn State would. And they might. Could happen. Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
College basketball in the league tonight. Alabama's at South Carolina. That's the biggest spread tonight. They're a double-digit favorite on the road. But Ole Miss is at Arkansas, and then the ranked matchup between Texas A&M and Oklahoma.
Last night on the Otter Locks, just sent the picks in, so went 2-0. So, we not changing anything. So we just sending them in. I would not be on there.
Okay.
Just keep the Badawi family in your prayers, man. Sweet, beautiful, kind, loving people that just. I really appreciate the support. So, man, just spending time with them down at the Interfaith a prayer service down at the cathedral. That the president was successful, and they had dinner with them after. And, during this healing process, too, keep them in your prayers.
And you take your time. We pop in for a cameo appearance today, but take your time.
I'm listening.
I know.
I know when you get out of hand.
Believe me, I get the text messages when you disagree with something that I say. So.
Jimmy, we will not go a full segment talking about Kevin O'Connell being the next Saints head coach again. I will stop him before it happens.
Please do, Max.
Please do. I will be there for you.
You realize if that actually happens, I'm never gonna give that up.
King
right?
of Sucrose.
Yeah.
King Sucrose, baby.
Bring you on to Mardi Gras.
You're only allowed to be king of sucrose one time. I've got a better chance of being king of sucrose a second time than O'Connell does to be the head coach of the Saints. But the interviews are coming in. A lot of protocol that you got to go through now that the NFL has changed as far as being able to interview coaches that are still coaching. So this is going to take a while. Nothing is imminent.
And this is why we put Miss Gale in perspective. She was, just a few feet away from me at the service at the cathedral, and just, it's just a beautiful ceremony with all the different denominations that were represented. From the deacons to the archbishops and all over. It helped. It helped.
Thanks, Jimmy. It's good to see you today. We'll be back tomorrow. It snows. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.